I don't have Tammy here with us. She joined us on Monday for our onboarding with staff and also laity. She was able to meet with some of our key lay leaders as well as the entire staff and ask some questions to get to know us, to get to know her, to understand more of the culture at Anniston First. So she's getting well acclimated to Anniston First and the Children's Place and Camp Lee and everything that we've got going on here. But we want to continue this time with Tammy so that you can continue to learn more about her as she prepares her transition. So we're doing a Zoom recording today because she is transitioning from Family Success Center and she's working with her successor. And as many of you know, Louise Smith passed away. And so I had a funeral yesterday, have a wedding Friday. So our schedules are not really the most conducive to an in-person recording. So we're going to do Zoom today. So Tammy, I'm glad to see you. Hope you're doing well.
I am. Good to see you again.
And you're onboarding on Monday. How did it go?
I think it went well. I learned a lot. I got to do a lot of listening and hear from the staff. And then that evening in the laity session, from the laity about the DNA of our church, our history, the things that are important to them. I look forward to expanding that circle and learning about the important parts of history and the hopes and dreams of members beyond those who were able to join us. The laity session was small, only because we need to be careful about social distancing. So we made that group tight. It was a very long day. My husband even commented I was quiet the next morning. And he said, are you mad at me? And I said, no, I used a lot of words yesterday. I'm out of words. It took me a little while. But I think it was good. It's really helpful for me to know the kinds of things that our onboarding coach helped us talk about as I come in.
I share your exhaustion. I got home that evening and Leanne looked at me and she said, what's wrong with you? And I said, well, I'm exhausted because that takes a lot of emotional energy to sit in a room and actually offer thoughtful responses, to be helpful to you. And it's just a long day. It took me a day or so to recover from that. So, I don't feel free to answer this or you don't have to, but it just came to my mind. What was one of your big takeaways from your onboarding process? Do you have a big takeaway about Anniston First that you want to share? It can be from the staff session that you had with us, or it can be from the lay session.
Let me think, because it was an incredible amount of information that was out there. And you may I think I didn't realize that the shift of worship services and worship styles had happened as quickly ago as it had. It's still quite fresh in many, many people's minds. I was also really struck by how much the pandemic has impacted us. We had to change things very quickly. And I think in many of our minds, we kind of pushed pause on things, but it's not so much a pause as it is a shift, like how we're doing things shifted, and how that's going to impact us going forward, I think became really clear as far as other meet and greet times, when we'll be able to return to the building, the things that we're doing to communicate and get to know one another. The pandemic has made a huge impact on how we do ministry in our community right now.
Yeah, I think that's certainly an accurate takeaway for sure. Well, okay. Well, we certainly enjoyed our time with you, and we have fun. I think that was another thing that perhaps you may have learned. Maybe we have too much fun, but we certainly all get along together and throw chocolate across the room and all sorts of nonsense.
So I don't know if there's such a thing as too much fun. It's good. We should enjoy our lives and we should enjoy the people we work with and what we do. So it's not fun at the cost of getting done what we need to do. It's just a part of bonding and being part of a team that's working together and doing that well.
And I contrary to what Emily Whitney says, our children's director, I don't think you're going to have any trouble controlling your associate pastor. And that they listen to orders that they're given. So I think they will be just fine.
Yeah, there really were 2 or 3 people in that room who were perfectly willing to throw Davis and you under the bus
Absolutely. I just take
and
it.
run over you back and forth several times.
Absolutely. They know we can take it. We're seasoned. Well, okay. Well, I wanted to ask you one question this time, and it's kind of a more serious question. And that is, what's the most challenging thing that you've had to do in ministry? Because those challenging moments, I think they can be formative for us,
Mhm.
and they can sometimes really change the way we perceive things that we do in ministry, and and they shape us as well.
That's true. And there are a number of challenges to ministry. I mean, having difficult conversations, having to say no to something, having to disagree with a church member that you love is difficult. Um, but I think probably the hardest part of ministry, I'm gonna have to have 2 of them. I can't narrow it down to one.
Okay.
Funerals are incredibly hard. My first year in ministry, I began pastoring in Cherokee County, almost over to the Georgia line. I began going there in January and was officially appointed as their pastor in April. And between April and November, we had 11 funerals. And I remember how difficult I thought it was to do a funeral for somebody you hadn't gotten to know very well yet.
Mhm.
And then you have someone pass away that you have gotten to know well. And you realize how much harder it is to
Mhm.
do it for someone you know. We had one funeral that was a suicide, had been accused of a crime, was fixing to go on trial, and committed suicide instead of going through that trial. And that was very difficult and painful for me. There were things that were shocking. There was all those, the sense of anxiety, the discord in the family and the community. It was a really difficult place because you feel inadequate and you don't know what you should say. And in retrospect, you realize that probably the fact that you didn't know what to say and you just kept your mouth shut
Mhm.
was probably the best thing you could have
It's a
done
difficult thing to do in the
to be
South.
there with people. But it's hard because you want to make it better and you want to ease their grief and take it away from them, and you can't. You can just be there with people in it. I said there were 2. The other difficult part of ministry is saying goodbye in transitions.
Mhm.
I have not yet left a situation where they threw a party to see me go. Um, but you meet people and you come to love people and you become bonded with them. And you're there for those difficult moments when they bury someone. You're there when new members join their family. We're there when we see people come to know Christ. We do ministry and change the world together. And then when you leave, you grieve because it's like leaving members of your family behind. Now we get to go on to make new members of our family in the new churches that we go to, but you really do grieve when you leave in transition.
Yeah, I share your those challenges. Funerals, they are challenging, and
Mhm.
leaving, it really is difficult, especially when when they teach us, let somebody else pastor them, let somebody
Mhm.
else be their pastor. You're not
Mhm.
their pastor anymore. And you want the next person to be successful, and so
You
you
do.
mitigate the interaction that you have.
Mhm.
Well, I'm very excited. You're passionate about people. You're passionate about walking with people in the difficult moments, but also those moments of celebration, like you mentioned, when people
Mhm.
join their family.
Mhm.
And I have no doubt that you're going to bring that sort of commitment and compassion to Anniston First, and I'm really excited to see that. So,
I'm really excited about coming, and it's hard for me to believe it's just going to be just a few days. Um, April 16th seems like a very long time ago now, and yet seems like yesterday because it's upon us. So I'm very excited. I'm getting forward to meeting everyone and seeing how things go being there full time. Y'all have been really great about welcoming me and about reaching out and trying to get to know me, and I've enjoyed these time with Tammy sessions.
I think everybody else has too. we don't have a silly question today, do we?
No, you don't.
Oh man. Well, we'll just have to come up with one for next week then.
Okay. All
Well,
right.
thank you, Tammy, for joining us, and I
You're
hope you
welcome.
have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.